Hello Blizzard fans, this is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Blizzard upload. This is a game between LiquidBunny and True on Iron Fortress, the latter edition. Now this is a quarterfinal match from the recently completed Gfinity Spring Masters II tournament, wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, and that was my toned down introduction. I've had a couple of people complain about how loud it was in the last couple of days, so I'm toning it down. Let me know what you think in the comments, if it's kind of just a little too drab or too dull, or if you appreciate the lower volume. Now on the top right, we have the red Zerg player True from Dead Pixels. Pretty cool spinny logo here with Death holding a cube that looks kind of like a pixel, I guess. Either way, very creative. I like the use of that. And in the bottom left, we have the blue Terran player Bunny from Team Liquid. And again, Bunny is probably one of the best foreign Terran players in the world right now with his little Starcraft logo. Such happy little stars. I love those guys. And this is a fairly large map, so I expect this to be a pretty epic game, to be honest. A lot of back and forth. We are either going to see mech or bio from the Terran player, and then different things from the Zerg player, whether swarm hosts or roaches or mutiling baneling, depending on what the Terran player does. That is pretty much what Zerg need to do in this matchup, and indeed in all matchups, is find out what your opponent is up to. Because if you guess wrong in your build, you're probably going to get stomped. It takes very particular sense to know what you need to actually build in order to counter or at least deal effectively with your opponents. So here in the top right again, we have True throwing down that hatchery before the spawning pool. He recognizes this is a big map. He recognizes Reapers are going to be a long time coming out, and actually there aren't going to be any Reapers for a while, especially because LiquidBunny threw down this command center first. His barracks is a little bit late. He is actually just now completing his refinery, so I think he will have enough gas possibly to get... No, he won't. To get a Reaper out here when this finishes. Nope. Instead, I think its Marines are going to come down. A bunker's going to come down. Defensive, just in case any crazy amount of Lings do show up. In case True went like a 14 pool or a 12 pool or something, in which case Lings would be showing up here fairly soon, but it's nice to have the bunker completed with a Marine in there to deal with those while your command center is sitting here very exposed in this open area. So not really a way to wall off for Terran here. Protoss can go Forge Fast Expand. They can get cannons here. They can wall off fairly easily, but Terran's a little bit more difficult. You don't want your buildings out in front. And so what they'll do is they'll just get a bunker here and hope that the range attack from the Marines is enough to deal with anything that comes around. There's a factory, so it's a bit of a Command Center 111 build coming in here from Bunny. And here comes the Zergling, pokes in, recognizes he's getting shot in the face, and gets the heck out of there. Taking the Zelnaga Watchtower, which is very nicely graced by the presence of a giant Zerg icon. I have to imagine that True is happy with that. It's a very nice place to be, good karma and all that stuff. So Overlord popping on in, just trying to see if he can see anything crazy that's going on. The Hellions now popping out. Yep, there we go. We did swap over the reactor onto the factory and now making Marauders. So a Marauder Hellion push can actually be pretty darn scary depending on what the Zerg player is ready for. We are throwing up Evolution Chambers and a single Queen here to try to block this off just a bit. We are producing drones, no actual attacking units coming out yet. And oh, okay, the Hellions actually have to scout. I forgot that Bunny had not figured out exactly where True was. He had to scout bottom right and top left, and then to discover that, okay, he's not in those places. True must be in the top right. So if these creep tumors can finish, that'll be a really nice thing for True, just giving the Queens a little bit more range on their defense. And yes, they do finish. Queen can get out there. Don't go too far, Queen. You'll get picked off. This Zergling, unfortunately, does not reap good karma from this giant swarm icon and does get roasted up by those Hellions. Another Hellion pushing on in. What is the answer going to be? A Roach Warren is about halfway done for True. And the Hellions trying to take down additional creep tumors that are attempting to spawn. There are 4 of them now. There are a total of 4 on the map and a single Marauder and 3 Marines. Okay, interestingly enough, the Hellions, do they want to go in there? They can't quite decide. They can see the single Queen. They don't know if there are roaches ready for them or not, or spine crawlers. They don't want to go in there and get trapped by a whole ton of speedlings. So instead, they do stay outside, just watching for any attacking units that are coming from True in the next couple of minutes. Just kind of scouting around. You do want these Hellions to get drone kills, but in this case, where it's a little bit dangerous to go in there, there are now 2 Queens blocking the way. It'd be really hard for them to get in anyway. You probably want to do the best thing and just scout out and kill any Lings that try to come out of the base and basically hold on to map control at this point in the game. So we do have roaches popping out now. A bunch of roaches kind of being hidden here. They're away from the front door. Queen's shooing away those Hellions again. I think this might mean we see a bit of a 1-1 Roach timing, as +1 Carapace and +1 ranged attack is coming up for these Roaches. We'll have to see if they can make it all the way across the map with that +1/+1 and put the hurt on the Terran player. Are we going to see tanks? No, it looks like basically a bio play from this point. We are getting medevacs, we are getting a reactor there, so we're going to pretty much be going Hellions, Marines, a lot of Marines, and actually maybe more and more Hellions with that reactor coming down on that factory. We'll have to see what the answer is. We are moving this command center over, but unfortunately there's creep here because True is being a good Zerg player and dropping poop in places that Terran players want to expand. You'll notice poop also coming here. I imagine we'll see one here maybe at some point, but Marines come on in and say, Overlord, you get out of here. This is our house. And actually, Hellions coming back too. I don't know what they're supposed to be doing, but here comes, okay, the +1/+1 Roach attack is coming along the right sneaky path on this map. It is hard to scout. The scan comes down, doesn't see anything of value whatsoever, except maybe a couple Roaches popping out and heading on out the front door. So maybe he says, okay, there's a big Roach attack coming. There is a bunch of Marines and Hellions. They do not do well against Roaches, but there's a single Marauder that actually does do a good job. And where are these Roaches going? This super secret backspace coming up, and yeah, a good game sense there by Bunny. Pulls most of his SCVs out of there because the Roaches are coming in any second now. They're going to probably force the liftoff. Yeah, immediate liftoff of that command center. 1 SCV dies, 2 SCV dies, 3 SCVs die. And the Roaches say, alright, 3 workers is a good pickup, 4 workers even better of a pickup. And can they get 5 is the question. They are fast, but not quite as fast as SCVs, and they do get another one though. So the Roaches are here, but they say, okay, there's a big bio ball here. We don't want to attack into that. Burrowing a couple of the weaker Roaches here so they can actually manage to heal up very quickly. Very smart, taking on the missile turret as well, so that the Roaches cannot be detected by that missile turret when it finishes. So, alright, scouting burrowed Roaches here. Interesting play. These Roaches are +1/+1, but man, that is a big, massive bio. A scan comes down, and both of the Roaches die immediately. Is +1 finished? Yes, +1/+1 now finished for the biological units. A drop lifting off here with pretty much only Marines going to head on out. Probably try to get into the main and do some damage that way. We'll keep an eye on that drop as it heads on up. Pretty much just kind of heading back and forth here. Zergling actually did sneak in to prevent the command center from landing. Sneaky Zergling, well played on his part. But he does get scanned out and killed, and now the command center should be landing. I don't know. Is there anything else under there? No, there's not. Alright, command center, you can get down and start now. The drop slowly moving across this really big map. Roaches just kind of holding on to map control here. Another group coming around trying to get inside here to kill some more workers. But here comes the drop. It's unloading off the creep. Very smart. They're likely going to stim. They do have stim. Yep, they stim. They move right on in. Gonna go for those workers. A Roach did pop out. They immediately snipe down the Queen. Has no chance at all. There are workers dying. Oh, an instant burrow on these workers. Okay. Interesting play. Is there going to be a scan is the question. Another Roach dies. Missile attack level 2 just about to come up. All these Overlords are going to die. I don't know why Bunny didn't scan there. He probably saw those drones burrow, but anyway, a lot of these Overlords are dying. It might actually supply block True here eventually. Roach is moving in. There are 2 tanks in the back. I don't know if this is the right decision, but +2/+2 has finished for the Roaches. More and more coming around from that right side, actually taking down every single one of these tanks. Is that one going to die? Yes, it does. Chasing everybody home. These Marines doing tons of damage. Marines doing damage here. It is actually a bit of a base race from both of these players. Roach is trying to push in. There is a tank on the high ground now doing tons and tons of damage. 3 kills. The Burrow and the Roaches, they are forced to retreat. And I don't know what's going to happen back here, though. The Marines actually doing tons of damage. About to take down that spawning pool. Killing this hatchery here at the 3rd base is a huge pickup. Getting that infestation pit might be nice as well, but eventually the medevac does pick up and get the heck out of there. Last Marine on the ground does die in an acid bath. The liftoff is complete here. 17 workers die. It is 47 to 39 workers. Okay. Alright, so maybe it's a bit of a reset here. All these workers survived. That was insane. I can't believe that burrow actually worked. I feel like if I had tried that, the Terran player would have scanned and killed every single one of those drones before I knew what was going on. So, medevac here, still alive, still kind of boosting around to scout out some things. This many, what is it, about 4 or 5 Marines inside there aren't going to do too much damage, especially with all the Roaches patrolling around. So, medevac decides to head on home. Check for the presence of a third base here, and there is not one. Rebuilding his third base is true. This third base is still up for Bunny. +2/+2. Now finishing on those infantry units. That is a big deal. So you don't usually see roaches in this particular situation against Bio. It's an interesting play by True, getting that +1/+1 attack. But in the end, this wall was just too much. That tank on the high ground was just doing too much damage, and he had to retreat. He might have been able to win the game if he could have gotten in here, but he wasn't. So instead, he retreated. He's licking his wounds. He is now getting +3 attack for his ranged units. He is up 62 to 44 harvesters, and he's actually feeling pretty good about himself. There's a small group of Marines moving up, probably to push back the creep. That is pretty much their purpose in life. They do pick up the Zelnaga watchtower and say, hey, a big Zerg logo. I wonder who put this there. The answer is, I do not know, Marines. Marines dropping over here as well. Do manage to kill a single Overlord, but Roach is coming on in, murdering those Marines. Roaches trade really, really well against Marines, and actually don't do it. You try to get up here around that right side. They try to snipe down that base, but no. 2 Marines die, and the rest of them get picked up and shuttled the heck out of there. But 3 drones actually do get killed in that attack. Not too big of a deal, but this base is allowed to finish, which is really what matters for True. All of these workers are now happily back on the mineral patches. Probably needs to put some on gas there. The drop coming back in, and yeah, actually going after some more workers. 4 total workers have died at this location, 5 now. So just being very annoying with those drops is Bunny. This is something you want to do, Terran players, is get those drops going as much as you possibly can. It's hard for Zerg players to multitask, hard for you to drop multitask as well, but in the end, it's definitely worth it. So here we have Hydralisks popping out. So it's a Roach Hydra composition against what is basically Marine tank. I mean, there are, what? Okay, 2, 4, 6, 7 Marauders here. That is actually pretty scary. There's a bunch of Marauders, but I guess if we can get an Infestation Pit, which we already have, and some Vipers to throw down Blinding Cloud on those tanks, we might see a Tang-style attack with Roach Hydra. Dropping these Marines here again, just moving on up, killing as many creep tumors along this particular attack path as they can. The yoink comes down on the medevac, and does it get picked up? It does. The Hydras are able to kill it before it can escape. These Marines need to get the heck out of here. Stimmed, they are faster than roaches, but the stim is going to wear off immediately, or eventually, and then they will be a little bit stuck with no place to go. Okay, actually, they do make themselves useful. Another scan reveals a couple more creep tumors they can get rid of. So this little commando squad of Marines is actually pretty impressive. Good job, guys. Another drop moving on up with a different medevac. Actually, a medevac that's probably been there before because it is severely injured. Okay, now we try to build a hatchery, but oh no, there are so many Marines here, forcing, not even getting a cancel off, killing it outright. True loses 300 minerals on that. Kind of a big deal. Roach speed, or Hydra speed rather, coming up. We do have those Vipers, and what is the 200 to 200? Basically, both players are maxed out. Here comes a giant Marine ball. Interesting. Marines, tanks, medevacs, and Marauders. Boy, I don't know who's going to win this particular battle. A Roach Hydra composition with a good concave. I guess the +3/+3 is almost finished for these Marines, make them very, very dangerous. There's a reason you usually see Banelings going against Marines, is because they do a good job killing them. Not much else in the Terran army, or Zerg army, is fantastic at it, except for maybe Roaches. But here we come, right side. Here comes the Zerg army. Roaches in front, Hydra's in the back, throwing down Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Hydra's doing a great job. Roaches in front as well, taking a ton of damage, taking out those tanks while they are blinded by that Blinding Cloud. The last tank does fall, and here we go with the Roaches, the Hydras getting a surround, basically a great concave on these Marines, forcing them to retreat. It's 127 to 170 supply. I don't know if I fully expected that result, to be honest. That was a huge victory for the Terran player as he moves back to the safety of the creep. He's regenerating his health as much as possible, building 10 more Roaches, getting +3 ground carapace for his units. This command center trying to move up, but again, the Overlord is here, ready for it, throwing down that creep, being super, super annoying, forcing Marines to come over and get rid of it, and delaying that 4th base for another few minutes. A drop here, though. These Marines could actually, if they wanted to, force the... Okay, so they're going to try to kill this base now. Is there anything that can respond from the Zerg player? No. Actually, no, but he does force the retreat. Okay, as they move on in here, they're going to kill this 3rd base most likely. I mean, they have the upper top of this ramp advantage on the high ground. Hydras in the back are just killing everything. Roaches in the front doing tons of damage as well. But again, these are +3/+3 units. The tank in the back getting focused down immediately by those Roaches. It does die. Every single one of these Marines die. This base dies. The Vipers coming in, seeing for things that they can yoink, throw down Blinding Cloud on, and yeah, there is a tank here. They yoink it down to the low ground, and it dies. Is there another tank left in the Terran army? I don't know if there is. The Hydra's killing all of these supply depots All these Marines dying. A huge swarm of reinforcements coming down from Hydras and Roaches. They're trying to move up this ramp, which is generally not a great idea, but there are no tanks here. And so it's a huge pickup. These Vikings are pretty much useless. They can try to take down the Vipers, but at this point, the ground army is just too big for True. Stutter stepping his way up this ramp, killing barracks, and LiquidBunny calls the GG, and True is victorious. Wow, what a fantastic game by both of these players. The harassment was non-stop from Bunny. The Roach Hydra Viper attack was a little unexpected, I think, in this tournament situation, but you know what? It was enough. I'm not actually sure. Possibly Bunny could have gone for more tanks in that situation and spread them a little bit better. Tanks do a great job against Hydralisks especially, but you know, that Marine composition was pretty good against the Roach Hydra in the early stages of the game, but in the end, it was True's command of the swarm that was enough. So, thank you for watching this cast. If you liked what you saw today, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. And as always, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, all at /FalconPaladin. And until next time, you take care of yourself.